Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Thomas.
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira.
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it.
Fabulous solo goal by pierre-emerick.
Good afternoon or good evening, early evening, whatever you want to call it, and welcome back to the Arsenal Lounge. We're back for real talk on this Wednesday. We've got our regular man in the house, so let's just crack on with it. Without any further ado, the illuminous Mr. Lee judges. What is this new? Oh, and the gloves as well. I'm loving the gloves, mate. I saw those. Look at those. What are those? Where'd you get those from, mate?
It's cold, like players edition, like, you know what I mean?
I thought you was one of those old school guys that didn't like players wearing gloves and stuff, Lee.
Well, no, like, you know, do you know what? I suffer from cold hands, so like, you know, I did don the gloves at the end of my career, like, you know, when it was sort of like allowed to.
Did you wear the different coloured cycling shorts as well? What's going on with Shaheen?
Well, he's put in the chat. We're waiting on the judge. You know what I mean? That's a bit harsh, isn't it? Like,
that was me. That was me. That was me.
Lee. Oh, right.
Why did you assume I did that then?
That was Shaheen. That was Shaheen.
Yeah, sure.
I can't believe it. Like, could give at least send the guy the link. And anyway, everyone in the chats, welcome. And obviously, without any further ado, we've got Shaheen Pablo, my co-host. How you doing, bro? You look like you lost a lot of weight. You know, I'm not gonna lie.
Does look like he's lost a bit of weight, doesn't he?
Yeah. So I did enough of that prison food, didn't he?
It's a difficult time for me, so I'm all right now.
Yeah, man,
porridge. You can lose weight on porridge.
And doing porridge at the same time. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I thought, you know what, guys? We'll crack on in the sense of the show, but I did want to touch on it because there was a sad thing that happened last week, and I haven't really spoken and come out and said anything about it. But obviously, by now, everyone will know what's happened to Claude. Me and Shaheen, actually, I mean, Lee, I know you knew him very well for obvious reasons. Yeah. You had a lot of time with him at AFTV, but maybe a lot of people don't realise this, but we actually knew Claude pretty well. We started our podcast life with Claude. We'd done a few shows with him, and then he asked us to join forces, and we were going to work together. And so we've known Claude for a little bit of time, nowhere near as well as Lee and others. We only knew him for just over a year, but it did hit home when it happened. You know, I want to pass on my condolences to his family. He was a top guy. You know, I had a lot of time for him, and it just makes you put things into perspective. We had a silly fallout over creative differences and things like that. And then when you look at how fragile life is,
to be fair, we didn't have the fallout.
No, fallout's a bit much, but I'm just saying it's just in comparison
with Claude. And I'll just echo what you said as well. My last message to him was Sunday night.
Yeah,
a couple of days before he passed away, and I saw he was putting out some tweets. So I just sent him a message to see if he's okay. Yeah, he was. Everybody has said a lot about him, and I would just say the same thing. He was a very kind man.
He was yeah.
He was very kind. You know, he was. He's a big loss. He's a big loss. We managed to raise some money through GoFundMe.
Oh yeah, we did.
To help with his family. I think we raised around 770 pounds, which I've been in touch with his daughter, and we're going to pass that on to his daughter. We've also, obviously, this is done not by us. This is done by a fan base and by everybody who donated. Yeah. And Lee Judges, I have to give him credit as well. He helped out quite a lot as well. We bought him a plaque at the Emirates Stadium. So he will always be next to the place that he loves. And the plaque has been purchased, it's done. I think the last time I looked, next time they're going to put up, is in the celebration corner, they're going to put up these plaques. I think it's about a couple of months' time. So they're going to put up his own flag, and it's got his name and everything written on it. So it's the least that me and Lev could do for him. And obviously, I want to thank Lee as well, because Lee helped us quite a lot, gave us a lot of his time. And he will always have a place next to the Emirates. And yeah, he was a really nice guy. He was a kind guy.
And also, just to add to that as well, Shaheen, I believe his daughter's doing a fundraiser on the GoFundMe page. Yeah.
Yes,
so
right.
That's we kind of wanted to pay homage to him, and we thought that would help. And the fans that come up and chipped in for that, brilliant. Thank you so much for doing that. But I mean, for those,
yeah, sorry, no, we were just people who did the legwork, if you like.
Yeah,
the fund for the plaque and the fund that is going to go to his daughter was raised by the fan base, not by us, not by any of us here. It was a collective effort as a fan base. Yeah, I just want to stress that out.
Well, he played a massive part for you, didn't he, Shaheen? Because when you were watching AFTV all those years ago, because you originally weren't born here, so your connection was AFTV to Arsenal, wasn't it? And Claude played a major part in that, and I think that was the whole thing for you. You had that connection.
I met him first time when he came to my office, because they were going to record a podcast, and they didn't have a studio, so they came to
you mean
my
you got
office.
visiting rights, yeah?
Yeah. And I met Claude then first time I met him. And you could tell he was a genuine guy. He was a very nice guy, and I hope his soul rests in peace. And this it's time to go. I think we'll always stay as his and the voice of reason, as Lee Judge has pointed out. So
it was a good idea to put it on. I think was it your idea, Lee, to put that on the plaque? Voice of reason. It was a good idea, mate.
We thought that was more appropriate, didn't we? Like than his other catchphrase, if I'll be honest. And so and he was. I have to say, we've all had the pleasure of meeting him, and I still say this now, and I'm the reason I watched AFTV was because of Claude. That's where I got in. Obviously, I watched that like everybody, I suppose. Watched the Chris Hudson video, which sent everything up, and then Claude just took the mantle from there. And he was my go-to guy, if you like. I went to him all the time, and I just think that the success of AFTV is down to him as much as anybody else, if not more. He give the platform for the likes of myself, DT and troopz to go on and do what we've been doing. If it wasn't for Claude, none of this would have happened, because he was the one that took the beacon. And I just felt like, when I was actually watching some of his videos, I just used to feel his pain, and because I could relate to it. Yeah, and I just thought, I'd love to meet this guy. And one of the greatest things for me is that we become friends after that. But the first ever video that I'd done, Claude was there. I didn't know Claude, and I didn't talk to him after that. I just done the interview. If you ever go back and see that very first one, he actually butts in and says, I've been saying that. And but I didn't really get to meet Claude and that for a little while after that. But I was in awe of him at that sort of stage. He had a personality. And fortunately, for me, we become close friends, and would go out drinking. And I was talking to Turkish on Saturday, I think it was Saturday night, and he come up with a great point when he said that it's not really going to sink home until we go back to the stadiums and things like that. And I think that it will. That's when it will hit home, when you're having a beer after the game, because I used to wait for him, or he used to wait for me after the interviews, and then we'd walk up and have a beer, and it would always be like, I'll come and have another one. I say, Claude, I've got to go now. I'll just have half, and that's of course where the half pint come from.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, and and he'd say that fondly, there was a stage, obviously, when let's be honest, after the AFTV thing that happened, it was that was tough. It was tough for me, because obviously I knew what had gone on, and Claude was left out of the show and whatever. It was really difficult, and our relationship got strained for a little while, but thankfully well, not thankfully, my dad passed away, and then Claude messaged me, phoned me straight as soon as he found out, and said, I'm sorry about your dad. And thankfully, we got talking again, and we was friends back from there. And that was a difficult time for him, a very, very difficult time for him. And, and this is what I have to say, and I've said it on a few occasions now, is that Claude, we all know had his little not health issues, mental issues, which all led to the same thing, if I'll be honest. And people jumped onto that, and on social media realised what he was vulnerable and attacked him through that. And unfortunately, Claude could never resist that. And getting to know Claude really, really well, guys, as you do as well, he always worried what people said about him.
He did a bit too much, Lee. A bit too much, and I think people cottoned onto that, and were looking to rile him to get some traction for their own.
For their own gains, at times. And I used to try and tell him, and I'll say, like, Claude, don't do this and don't do that. And then as soon as he goes, and then a second later, he's done it again. Like someone said in there, he's done it again. I used to say that to him, you've done it again, Claude. What? I said, but that's how he was. But, we all know what a funny man he was. I tell you, in his company, he was hilarious. One-liners and things like that. And
I had one night with him at the 12 pins. One night. That was the first time we met him actually at the Emirates, and he just wouldn't stop drinking. I couldn't keep up with him.
No,
I just couldn't keep up with him, mate. I mean, he called me a lightweight or whatever, but I just couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've staggered out of that 12 pins many a times, like, and but he was a good character, like, and whenever he was down, I remember one time we got a promotion thing to take photos with the FA. It wasn't the FA Cup; it was a replica, but you could have your photo done with the FA Cup and have a few beers at this pub on Upper Street. It was a few, I think after it must have been after the Villa games. That just shows you how long it was ago. And we had a few free beers given to us afterwards. Imagine Claude hammered that, like,
Oh my God.
Well, I remember coming home and like it was a sunny afternoon, steaming, like, do you know what I mean? And again, I'll just stay for one more. I said, Claude, I've had 10 as it is, you know what I mean?
There's always room for one more with Claude.
There was always room for one more.
I always learned that. But I mean, the guys here, when the plaque does go up, hopefully when they do let us back into the grounds, if you want to pay your respects, go to the plaque, lay down some flowers, whatever, you can do that. Please help and support his daughter's GoFundMe page. It's to help with funeral costs and a few other things. I'm sure they're all going through a difficult time. So if you can help,
in the description.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll put the link here.
The great thing about the plaque was a great idea from you guys. It was your ideas to do it. It's something that Claude would have loved. I know that for a fact. You know what I mean? That he would have loved that. I know that his daughter was very, very happy about it as well. And it's just a great idea, guys. And the other thing is that the people were, it was bought within an hour or so, wasn't it? Like, you know what I mean? And that just shows you great. And hopefully us three can all meet up and have a little look at the plaque and maybe have
room for one more.
We'll have room for one more.
We'll always have room for one. I'm going to try and escalate you to a full pint for that one, Lee, just in memory for him. So listen, R.I.P. Claude. Always a nice guy. As Lee rightly said, no matter what your differences are, he would always call or check up and have a chat and make sure you're all right. And I will always respect him for that. Lovely guy, lovely, good heart, genuinely loved Arsenal. And, again, condolences to his family and hope he rests in peace. But, I mean, we'll try and take it on from there if we can. It's not the easiest thing to do, but let's sort of catch up with things. And I was hoping that we would turn up for a performance to maybe, in memory of Claude, maybe make him smile up there. But total opposite. I've still been trying to digest this whole performance we had against Liverpool. It was probably the most impotent, spineless, spermless, if there is such a thing, performance I have ever seen. I know that we had bad performances in November, December time. Hey presto, a couple of those players that had changed things were not available. And suddenly it's the old Arsenal again. And for me, this is by far, for me, the worst performance I've seen. I mean, we had Leno, Tierney, Holding, Gabriel, Cedric, Ceballos, Odegaard, Partey, Aubameyang, Lacazette and Pepe. No Emil Smith-Rowe, no Saka, no xhaka. And it showed. Boy, did it show. I mean, our performance was awful. I mean, first half, I don't even know how we went in 0-0. But the second half, two goals by Jota, and in between that, Salah. There was a whole load of performances that I just can't even bring myself to discuss. I mean, Odegaard looked tired. I'll give him that. The internationals looked like it took a little bit away from him. But Ceballos had his chance. Awful. Holding, again, beaten in the air. Second time running by one of the shortest people on the pitch. Yeah. I mean, it happened against Sterling as well. Again, out-jumped by a little guy. Leno, there's question marks for Leno for me. I think the first goal he should have done better with. Potentially second. But the first goal, I personally think he could have done better. And then the performance with Ceballos in that midfield, it just looked like in the way teams play now and set up against, the Man Cities and the Liverpools, and it's very tight, it's very high press, and you need players that can play in congested, tight spaces. And we just didn't look like we can keep the ball. I mean, Lee, I'll start with you on it. I'm sure you've spoken about it till the cows come home, and Gooner Glenn likes the spermless comment. But what was your take on the spermless performance?
I think you just summed it up there. Gutless, spineless. You know what I mean? Passionless, no desire. And that was on the remembrance of David Rocastle that had everything. What that performance was everything that he'd go against. You know what I mean? Like
he would have been disgusted by that performance.
Well, I just think there's no shame on these players. They don't care. I really do, because they should be embarrassed after. First of all, they should be embarrassed where they are in the league. Let's get this straight. In what I would say the worst league, the weakest league, should I say, that I've ever seen. There's one decent team in it, and I mean one decent team, and that's Man City. The rest, that Liverpool side. Let's get this right. That was nowhere near. It was the poor team compared to their team last season. It's nowhere near at the same level. And
the defense is weak.
Second,
the defense is weak. We didn't even get to test it.
You know what I mean? Without, people go on without this player. There was that, their captain, in Henderson. All right, they got their front three, but they've been absolutely shocking. And it was just, so poor. And look at them against Real Madrid yesterday. The reason that they all hit form all of a sudden was because they were playing against a team that just couldn't be bothered to get themselves up for a game. Not getting themselves up for a game. And I don't hold this excuse of, we've got Europe on Wednesday, because they played last night in Europe. It's just the fact of the matter is these players are just not good enough. They just let us down time and time again. The managers, I think, I'm going to say, is inexperienced. So that's the route that they've chose to go down. But I'm fed up with watching him as well, just turning around and going, I'm sorry for a performance like that. It's not the first time that he said that. I'm baffled by it and all that. Well, keep being baffled unless you actually turn around and drop a couple of these players. Have a bit of balls about you and do what is good for the team. I've got a kid. I'm watching a kid come on and run his arse off for 10, 15 minutes when the game's dead, which I haven't seen from our forwards for weeks. Now I say this and I say it now. The front three were a disgrace. Don't matter whatever way you look at it. Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe were a disgrace. I guarantee you, right? I put my mortgage on it that Pepe won't start on Thursday. The other two, I'm not so sure about. But that straight away tells you that all three of them shouldn't be in that team come next Thursday. But one or maybe two will. Ceballos, let's talk about him for a little while. To the end of last season, in the last 10 games of the season, cup final, semi-final, he was Arsenal's best player. Without a shadow of a doubt, he was absolutely superb. I can't get a tune out of him now. Awful. Flits in and out of games or whatever. Maybe because he's not getting a run in the team. I don't know. But, to get a run in the team, you've got to put in a good performance somewhere along the line. I look at Partey. Let's be honest, boys. He's not ripping up trees as far as I'm concerned. He's doing okay, but come on, this isn't the performances that we expect to see of him. As I said, the front four were woeful. As you've highlighted holding, I can accept a central defender, right, at my level when I played semi-pro. If you a central defender losing in the air to a 5'5" player once. But for it to happen twice in 2 games, see you later. you don't play for this club no more. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? Wouldn't the centre half, you know, it wouldn't that, you'd be gone, because you know what? There's other people lining up to do that and that can do that. So if but there's no accountability for these players. I agree with you on Leno and all. He's starting to become a worry now for me. Like, you know what I mean?
Too many, Lee. Too many, mate.
Mistakes. Too many basic mistakes. Should have scored the first one. The second one, yes, he should have done as well. But there's a little bit for me is that defence is not giving him no confidence, and he's giving the defence no confidence. A little bit of both. But I will say this in defence of maybe him, when you keep changing the back four every single week, from right back to central defenders and all that, where's you going to get your cohesion from? Where are you going to get your, you know, stability from? So I do say that, like, it is going to be there. You know, losing Tierney's a big blow to us as well, by the way, massive blow. But injuries happen. You know, injuries happen. You can't legislate that. That's part and parcel of football. Players have been getting injured since day dot, so I'm not having that. You know what I mean? As making that as excuses. Other teams have had injuries. Liverpool have had injuries, right? Horrendous injuries to all their defenders, right? And they're still above us. Still above us. You know what I mean? Like, that's realistically, guys, not had that many injuries.
I expected us to challenge more, like, for that game. This is that old classic, the game that you can get into the mix. We always seem to either lose or draw. Shaheen, I'll bring you in on this. I mean, you saw the game. I mean, I'd like to also get into, do we think that Arteta made the right decisions? Obviously, there is a lack of depth. The minute you go past certain players like ESR and Saka and a few others, then we're back to the original types, and they were the ones that were letting us down earlier on in the season. So Shaheen, you know, what's your take on it? What could have Arteta done differently as well? I mean,
for me, the first thing, right, is what Lee said, and this is, I was going to say this, but obviously he said it earlier than me. If you're an Arsenal player, right, every day that week the club has been on and about David Rocastle. They've got a banner for him in the stadium. He's on the program. They've done an interview with Ian Wright, has done something with Saka. So they know, like, this is this is an occasion. Let's get ourselves up. Liverpool haven't been great so far. And then you go out there and you don't lay a glove. Listen, I didn't realize. I got in a bit late, so I started from watching it from 4th minute onwards. Right? I didn't realize Alisson had grown a mustache until about 65th minute. Because
at the start of the game, he didn't have a moustache. He was just so bored watching us.
There was no attack on Liverpool's goal, and I think we're developing a problem with Aubameyang now, because he's now fallen into the category. We're paying him too much, and he's the club captain. You can't bench him. When you do play him, he's not. He hasn't been put in a. It's fair to say he hasn't been put in a proper shift in all season this season. Right?
Well, isn't it fair to say that he's not where he was playing as well with Liverpool's fullbacks? This is where I question Arteta, Shaheen, right? And Lee, he's not built to go up and down all game.
All season, man. It's not just Liverpool game. This is Aubameyang all season. Right? Last year, for FA Cup final and the game against, he was playing exactly the same position. But somehow this year, like, I don't know, that's just going to be a problem. I agree with Lee. Arteta is an inexperienced football manager, right? He's not going to get everything right. This is his second season in charge. I've seen stats going around that he's been, he's doing worse than Unai Emery. And there's a lot of things going around. You can't blame Arteta for that. You need to go and look at the guy who put Arteta in his job. The guy who thought, let's go get somebody who does not have one Premier League experience under his belt. Yeah, he's a good choice. Let's go get him. You need to look at them, right? Arteta was given an opportunity of his lifetime, mate. You're assistant Man City, come and manage Arsenal. Yeah, all right, we'll do. And then it's the whole, Tierney. When Tierney went off, all the goals came from that left-hand side because they targeted that left-hand side. Cedric came in. Obviously, he's nothing near Tierney, and this is going to be a problem for us going forward with no Tierney for another 5-6 weeks. We've got a very important game coming up, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really have any confidence in the team or the manager to make the right decisions or pick the right team. He can pick a very good team, and they can go out and they can destroy Slavia Prague, but they can also go out and lose to Slavia Prague.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good point here made by Alexander Klapoff. Thanks for your donation. Thanks for helping us out, Alexander. He's always here giving us a super chat. Is playing Saka in Tierney's position something Arteta should think about, or should Cedric play there and let Saka do what he does best? That's a good question, Lee.
Brilliant question, and it's certainly up for debate, because let's face it, Saka has been excellent on the right hand side of it, but we have players that can play that position. We have obviously Pepe. We obviously have Willian that can play there as well. But also if you're going to play Smith Rowe out on the left hand side, you can play him on the right hand side and play Aubameyang on the left if you want to go down that route. The trouble, and if Odegaard plays, I think that maybe then you could probably do that. I think maybe you could do that, but I think if you've got Odegaard missing, I don't think you can afford to do it. But if Odegaard's available, and you've also got Smith Rowe available, then it's a possibility you could do that. And then for me, I will chuck Cedric over onto the right hand side. But I think that all of a sudden now we're going into the biggest game of the season with a completely new back four, if you like.
Typical Arsenal, isn't it?
Yeah,
unbelievable stages.
You've been playing Bellerin out there at most of the season. All of a sudden, he's dropped out of favour, and all of a sudden, Chambers has come in there. You've got Holding, so I think it's out of Chambers and Holding who plays central defence for the foreseeable future because David Luiz is out. And then you've got
he's a miss as well. He was playing all right,
and it's been brilliant. And Gabriel. The other thing is that he may decide to do is he could actually take a gamble and put Mari out there, or even go to a back three, which would suit us a little bit more, like Mari, Gabriel, and maybe Chambers would be a decent back three and go for that. But whatever way you're doing it, you're making it's not the tried and tested. Is you're putting a gamble, if you like, whether it'll fail or not, you don't know. But to make this sort of gamble in your biggest game of the season is a big call for Arteta. So, listen, Saka's played at left back before, so it could well be. But I think that if you're, as it's such a big game, I think you've got to go with Cedric at left back. I think you've really got to do that, and it's either Bellerin or Chambers for me on the other side. I think you can't experiment at this stage of the season. Experiment in the games against Fulham and Newcastle by all means, but not. Who we got this Sunday? Even though we've got Sunday.
Sheffield United.
I think we've got Sheffield United and Newcastle coming up, haven't we? So you can experiment in those games. Try it out. Try out different options. But for me, this is a difficult one for me. I think that you got to go with Saka in his normal position and go Cedric. And
so you switch Cedric over to the left, yeah?
Oh well, he's played there before. He's done okay there. I think that if I'll be honest, I think against better opposition we would get found out. But we don't really know. I don't really know how good this team is really. I think they've won their last couple of games, and they
beat Leicester, didn't they? Over two
legs.
legs
on away goals. So they, it's a difficult one. Listen. Our left back situation, our defending situation, shouldn't really be under any sort of question in a game like this because we should have a lot of the ball. We should be attacking most of the time, and it's just basically doing the things right at the back. And you can never rely on Arsenal doing that, but that's how it should be like,
I mean, even the game, Gabriel was having a decent game, and then suddenly it all went to pot for him as well. He should have made that tackle on Salah, shouldn't he?
I don't understand. Yeah. A professional footballer like Gabriel, you've been playing long enough. What possesses you to pass the ball in the way you did? This is a simple thing. This is a simple pass from the back. You, as a defender, you need to make sure it goes to your player. You just blasting it out, and then it comes back. Boom, they score.
But also he should have made the tackle against Salah as well.
Yeah, he should have done.
Yeah.
That second goal, he was ahead. He was favourite to win that. All he had to do is slide through with his left and just clear it. And somehow he messed it up and he paid the price for it. I mean, this is the sort of thing that's happening. They've got another super chat. Shaheen, would you like to read out? Theodore 781.
Yeah, he says this has been an issue since Wenger. Most players pick and choose when they show up. Until they leave, nothing will change. It's frustrating. Yeah, well,
can't argue that.
Yeah, you could argue it's the same players that are causing us. You know, there's a particular nucleus that we still need to get rid of. But there are things I'd like to bring up with you guys, because as you guys know, and Shaheen, you'll know in particular, I've been an Arteta in type of guy. I mean, I'm more let's wait and see what he does before we react, because I know this is a long-term issue. It's not a quick fix, and anyone who believes it is needs to really look into it a little bit deeper, because there's a lot of things he's had to put up with since joining. We've said this a million times. I've been pro Arteta, but there are certain things that are confusing me a little bit, you know, along with some of his choices. I mean, look, we could see that it wasn't working in the first half. We were dire. Why does he wait so long to make changes? When Willian was in poor form, he continued with him. The guy finds a little bit of form, he's nowhere. Martinelli could have done with his energy in the second half, in my opinion. Nowhere to be seen. And, you know, maybe if you had Martinelli's energy going up and down, he would have covered us.
Can I just say something? You see this Martinelli thing? It's very peculiar. At the beginning, everybody was like, he's easing him back.
Yeah.
It's more or less like you don't fancy him. It's like, but he's not getting any game time. Last 5 minutes, last 10 minutes. And to be fair, every time when the kid has been on, he's done well. It's like he comes in, he's got energy, he puts it about, he chases. And then you think, well, why wouldn't you bring him earlier? You don't want to start him, fine. Well, why would you bring him earlier? What is he going to do in the last 5-10 minutes? I'm very, very puzzled as to what it is about Gabriel Martinelli that he doesn't trust. Because I don't see it.
And also the Saliba thing. Apparently, I'm reading more stats today. Again, still the one centre-back that hasn't been dribbled past since he's been playing. And then you look at that now, when you look at Holding playing, making the mistakes he's making and being beaten in the air, is that something he should... I mean, there are question marks starting to appear, and it doesn't take much, Lee, does it? I mean, a couple of...
Listen, I think that's a great point. The thing is, I think like that Saliba, let's give him a break on that one.
We will.
I need to have a loan spell. He's gone out to France. Let him play. Let him make his mistakes over there or whatever and learn his game and then come back next season. Great. I think that what would have happened with Saliba, if he'd have come in, he'd have been a bit rusty and whatever without a lot of game time. It might have been too much for him. I'm gonna give him a break on that one. You know, Saliba's for next season. And we've got a player that's looking very, very good. Like, give him the game time that he needs to play. You know, the fact of the matter is, I've watched Holding now for a couple of years. I've said it all along, like, good squad player, not good enough to play regularly for Arsenal. Not good enough. And that's it. I've made up my mind now. He's not good enough. I look at Chambers. I think that Chambers is got a little bit more in the tank because of his injuries and all that. But ultimately, he's had long enough now to establish himself at Arsenal to be a top player. Hasn't done it. You know, you look at players like Tierney have come in within a year. They've made places their own. You know what I mean? And even the younger guys like not Martinelli, like Saka and Smith Rowe have took their opportunity. It is about taking your opportunities and going from there. Well, what I would say about you know, people are saying in the chat, does he trust the youngsters and all that? Like, well, I'm afraid, you know, whether he does or whether he doesn't, well, he's trusting these senior players and they're continuing to keep letting him down. So, you know, for me, it would be like, okay, he's letting me down. I'm going to go with the youngsters at this time. And I'll tell you what you will do, and as Shanine quite rightly said there, you do get the energy and the enthusiasm and the young rawness of a kid. But what I'm seeing is aubameyang stroll around. And listen, I'm not going to be too, you know, Aubameyang was playing left back on Saturday. You know what I mean? So from his point of view, you are going to get disillusioned by it and all that, like, you know. But you know, I'm going to bring it up now. Like, you know, everybody criticises Granit Xhaka. Criticising left, right, was well and truly missed on Saturday, and there lies your problem. There lies your problem that Granit Xhaka is being missed, because the one thing Granit Xhaka doesn't let happen to him, and I don't care whether you think he's a good player or not, he will not get bullied. He will not be bullied in a game, whether it's like from physical or whatever. He'll put a tackle in, you know, you'll know he's there. I think he's a bit of a tough sort of a cookie. But, you know, they just bullied him, just ran all over our midfield, and that was with Partey in it as well, like, you know. So, ultimately, two the most criticised players at Arsenal are him and David Luiz. And now everybody's going, oh, we're missing them two guys. And we are. And that just shows you how poor this team is and other players if we're missing those sort of guys. And relying, don't get me wrong, relying on Saka and Smith Rowe, who are, by the way, 19 and 20. You know, that is our problem. But I agree with lots of things that Arteta's doing that I don't understand. You know, the perseverance of continuing to play Bellerin. Now all of a sudden he's not playing him. You know, I think Willian will come back into the team on Thursday. I'd be very, very surprised if he's not starting in that game. Very, very surprised. But, you know, and the problem is Aubameyang, because Aubameyang, if you play Aubameyang, he hasn't got that ball retention. So you've got to get ball retention in the team somewhere along the line. And that means that probably to make up for that, Willian, I think maybe, you know, Pepe, I think will be left out. And I think that Lacazette will be as well. I think that he'll go with Aubameyang up top.
You think so? You think he's going to drop Lacazette and go with that's a big thing for me, because I think
and Willian will be his front three. I think. Like,
do you not think that with the likes of Emil Smith Rowe coming in and Saka, that they would benefit more from having Lacazette up top? Because that was one thing we did notice, is that he seemed to link up with those lads a lot better than Aubameyang. So, would that be a wise thing to do?
I think it's the wise thing to do. But I don't think that Mikel has got the strength of character to do that at this moment in time. And I feel also that, you know, Lacazette, you know, people going about him, one good game, two bad games, one good game, one bad game. Yes, fantastic against Tottenham. We ain't won since.
Yeah.
Shaheen.
Just before, first of all, I want to thank everybody for watching us, giving us the time. Please subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and hit the like button. Talking about the players, this is something I didn't actually get time today to tell you this, because we actually met this morning, me and Lev, but I've been so busy today. Arsenal have got a lot of transfer issues to deal with. Odegaard, Arteta's future, and so and so. And there is nobody better to discuss this with than Fabrizio Romano. And he's going to be with us this Friday at 3:00.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, as I said, just pencil that somewhere. This Friday, 3:00, we're going to do a show with Fabrizio Romano, me, Lee, Lev, and hopefully somebody else with Fabrizio. And we're going to ask him about Arteta, about what's happening right now, about what happened with Ozil, Kolasinac, Mustafi, Odegaard, what plans Arsenal have got, what money they've got. So please, this Friday, 3:00, make sure you join us, because we're going to ask him a lot of questions. If you got questions that you want us to ask, please send us a tweet on Twitter, give us a DM or tweet us. Yeah,
that would be a good idea.
And we'll ask him. But these players, everybody say Wenger this, Wenger that. But look, Cedric was signed by Arteta. Willian was signed by Arteta. Mauri was signed by Arteta. And out of them, I would say possibly Mauri is the one that looked a little bit okay since play. Another thing, Lee, with Mauri, he's played a few games and he had one dodgy game and then he's dropped. But then again, keeps making mistakes. Same with Gabriel sometimes, but they keep playing. So I think Arsenal have got a big summer. They need to make a decision with Lacazette because he's got a year left. and there is quite a few transfer stories and dilemma that Arsenal are facing, and we're going to discuss all of that with Fabrizio this Friday at 3:00. So
Man,
make sure.
I'm excited now because there's
Yes.
loads of things we could talk about with him at the moment. Loads.
Make sure you tune in this Friday at 3, and then we'll go from there.
Well, there you go. I'm gobsmacked. There you go, guys. We have Fabrizio coming this Friday. Get your questions across to us. If you want us to ask the questions on your behalf, we'll do it. That's what we get him in for. We want to sort of get the questions the fans want answered, and hopefully we'll get some insight into what's going to be happening in the future. We've got a lot of the right back situation, the left back situation. We need cover there. What's going to go on in midfield, the striker situation, as you rightfully said, Shaheen, the Lacazette situation, his contract's coming to a close. What's going to happen there? Aubameyang, I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. He's signed for the next God knows how many years. So if it is anyone up top likely to go, it's going to be Lacazette, in my opinion. So there's loads of questions to ask. So we look forward to it on Friday. Keep an eye out. Put your notifications on. You'll see something come out very, very soon. But we'll use that to move on from that negative performance. I'm hoping, Lee, this is me, probably my positive side coming to bite me in the arse again. But I'm hoping it's a mental thing, and people are thinking to themselves, we've got this big game coming up Thursday. I'm probably kidding myself in saying it, but I mean, we've got some crucial things that Arteta's got to come through. I mean, with the left back situation, as we've already discussed, with Luiz not being there, with Holding showing that he's fragile at the back. Does he bring in someone like Mari? Is it risky? What do you expect to see? What do you expect to see as a lineup and performance-wise? Are you expecting a win, Lee, after what we just saw the other day? We just don't know who's going to turn up. And
exactly. You just don't know what's going to turn up, and that is the thing I've been saying about Arsenal. You just can't trust this team, and you can't trust the players.
No,
and it's the whole lot. It's the whole package. You know what I mean? So, and if the manager's shocked by what he's seeing, then well, certainly the fans are going to be as well. But I do expect us to turn up on Thursday because it's a big game for us. And also it is a trophy at the end of it that these players want a trophy. I think that we'll be okay on Thursday. I'm quite pleased on this game that we're at home in the first leg, because their last two games against Rangers and Leicester, they've been away and like drawn at home, and then they've gone and nicked the away goal in the home one. So they've known exactly what they've got to do when away from home. Now they won't know what exactly to do tomorrow. Like, is a draw going to be good enough for them or whatever? So I think that if we come out quick against them, blow them away. That's what we've got to do. We have not got a better chance of getting to the European final than this with the teams that are in front of us. As simple as that. It's a foul if he doesn't do it. But those other three teams would be saying exactly the same thing, because Arsenal, you just don't know what they're going to get. Now, we all know that if Arsenal turn up, they're capable of beating anybody, as the result against Tottenham. Look at the performance against Tottenham. Look at the attitude. Look at everything about that game. We've not done it since in 3 games. We did against West Ham once we went 3-0 down.
Second half.
We were sensational. So you think, right, we're going to put that sort of performance in again, and we've not seen it, So you don't know what you're going to get with Arsenal. You really don't know what you're going to get, whether you're going to get a good performance or not. I'm just going to go into that game, just fingers crossed that we can get the performance that we need, the right attitude. And I think that is a key, guys. If we get the right attitude, the performance will come. If the players are up for it, we'll win the game comfortably. It's as simple as that.
Lee, I'm not being funny, but look, there is nothing left in this season to play for realistically, except the Europa League. And if you can't get yourself up for the only thing that is left that can get you into Champions League, possibly, and get you a trophy, then what are we? Because look, that's another thing we're going to discuss with Fabrizio this Friday, right? That if Arsenal do qualify for Champions League or don't qualify, how would that impact the transfer budget that they will have to spend? And the people at the board level, they all know this. So they should be saying this to these players every day, that this is important to us. We need to go and win this trophy. It's possible for us to do it. We can do it. But, you're right. Whether we're going to get themselves up or not is a different matter.
Shaheen, there's 5-6 of these players that didn't get themselves up for a cup final two seasons ago.
They failed miserably in Baku.
Didn't get it. Yeah. So if they can throw away a cup final and not turn up for it and not show the work rate and everything and desire to win a cup final, there's questions about whether they can do it at any level, at any stage of the season. The fact of the matter is, guys, these players on their day can do it because we've seen them do it. We see them do it against Chelsea. We see them do it. We see them do it against Spurs. We've seen them do it on other occasions, Man United away and all that. But the fact of the matter is, they don't do it consistency. So there's a problem there. Their good is good, but their bad is woeful. Yeah, exactly. So that's the problems that you've got, with this team. And unfortunately, because these players are not capable. I think, listen, as I said before, these are professional footballers, so they've got to have ability. You don't blag your way to become a top footballer. You can't blag your way. You cannot do it. So they're good footballers. But what it does show is what makes you to the elite, to the not, is up in here. It's mentality. And I'm afraid that our ones are weak of that. They're weak of that because if they weren't, they'd be a lot higher in the league and they would be able to turn out 5-6. When have they turned out 5-6 wins on the trot this season? We haven't done it. Now, people will turn around and say, other teams have not done it. But we can't even go 1 or 2 games. You know what I mean? We beat Spurs, great result, lose. Then against Olympiacos, draw against West Ham, lose. So, look at the inconsistency. It is unbelievable. So when you look at it, and if you was like, I don't know, say if you was like a gambler and looking at an Arsenal as a horse, you'd steer well clear of it because you said you've got no form.
You know what, Lee? It just highlights. I mean, I know we're talking about Europa and we're going off it a little bit, but we can't really have this discussion without saying it just highlights how poor our recruitment's been. It's over the last few years, our recruitment's been poor. I mean, we were discussing it with a few of the lads who do the fan cam off camera, and we went through the list of players that were so bad that we had, and it was just endless. You could go on and on. Yeah, it's just, and the amount of money we spent on these guys as well. I mean,
look at that front three on Saturday, on Saturday night, yeah. Look at the price of all 3 of them. You know what I mean, and they didn't have a shot or muster a shot between them. You know what I mean? Something's wrong. Something's wrong, whether it be like the players are not up for it or the tactics or whatever.
But then you've got the other thing, Lee. Look at Liverpool. Sorry to interrupt, but Liverpool got beaten by Fulham. You telling me that Fulham's got a better side than we have? No. All right, they've been beaten by Burnley. They've been beaten by some much lesser sides than us. So you can do it. So you would expect a better performance than what we saw the other day.
100%. Well, exactly. Other teams have. Listen, Liverpool are not the team they were last season because of injuries. They're nowhere near the team that they were. They're up for whatever you want to say. Like, you know what I mean? They're there to be shot down. They're there to be beaten. It's a nice little scalp that you can go and get. But in saying that, you still got to work hard. You still got to show desire and commitment to beat a team like that. I just think that it's look at that Liverpool side. We'll turn up, we'll beat them. That's the attitude it seems to be from our lot, and it ain't good enough. It's not good enough.
Well, I mean, we need to win at home. Sorry, Shaheen, go on, mate.
I just think it seems to be it's contagious, and I think people like Gabriel and Thomas Partey, they're not catching it on as well, because Thomas Partey is not the player that he was in Atletico.
I'm not convinced he's fit. I'm not convinced he's fully fit.
He's not fit for the whole season. Maybe this is a very important point here. Maybe in Atletico, he knows if he doesn't give 150% on the pitch, Simeone will have him in a changing room. And in Arsenal, it's not going to happen.
Maybe they retain the ball better at Atletico, though.
Yeah, but still, man, the whole team is better, and he's not the player thing he was. Maybe he's had a poor game, come in the dressing room, and he's seen not a lot has happened. Nobody is, they don't have this fear of if we don't play well, Simeone is going to do it. So who's going to do that at Arsenal? Lee said earlier, Arteta can't even drop Aubameyang right now, and he hasn't been performing well. So
it's a difficult one to drop Aubameyang because you know what he can do. So there's in that mind is like he's going to come good at some stage. But You know, what is the worrying factor is that he's been taken off, you know, at 3-2 when we was losing against West Ham and in the ascendancy. He was taken off against Liverpool. So, you know, there's obviously a problem there at this moment in time. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves him out tomorrow, but I don't think that he will.
See, where's the thing I worry about with Aubameyang is his time at Dortmund was very similar, right? He was flying out the blocks for 2 or 3 seasons. In his final seasons or so, this was the Aubameyang they saw, flittering around the edges of things and mentally not 100% there. And I'm just concerned that maybe his mentality is that once he's settled and he's comfortable, this is what you get from him. I mean, let's be honest. He's got this contract. He's set now. He knows he can't be sold unless someone's going to come in with some money. And at this stage, it's very difficult during this pandemic, etc., that anyone's going to come out with that type of money. So is it the fact that he's comfortable? Is it just a mental thing? He's had a bad season mentally. Let's be honest. There could be a number of things, but for me right now, Lee, if you're not performing, and the one thing he does well, he's not doing, which is score goals, you've got to have somebody who does the basics, right?
I'll be honest. Last season, his goals carried us. They carried us last season, and really probably papered up the cracks to what we are now. You know, I remember a lot of people turning around, if it weren't for Aubameyang, it weren't for his goals, where would we be? Well, this is where we would be because he's not turned up this season.
Yeah, exactly. Where would we be with the goals this season?
Exactly. So you can't keep relying on a player to continue to keep doing it. You know, and when you look at it on Saturday, and I'm not criticising him, I'm not saying that he's beyond criticism here, because he's certainly not. His performance was poor, his work rate and everything that went about it. But I don't see where he's going to score goals when he's like on the edge of his own box. And then you've got to run 60 yards to get to our box, to the opposition box, and then at the end of it have the ice cold veins to score goals. You know, it's a tough ask. So you've got to, if you're going to play Aubameyang, then play him to his strengths, you know. But listen, it was always, I'm not going to go too much into that because of the way the tactics were and all that. It's a massive, massive game Thursday, and the tactics have got to be right. And ultimately, if they're not right and we don't perform on Thursday, I'm not going to be blaming the players. I'll blame the players Saturday. This one now comes down to Arteta. Is he going to get the players up for it? Is he going to make the right tactics? Is he going to have a look at the opposition and realise where their weaknesses are? Because I think that's got to be taken into consideration on team selection as well. And, you know, he has got to get through this game, Arteta. And if he doesn't, and we go out to Sparta Prague, he's under immense pressure. Immense pressure.
You could, Shaheen, would you, I mean, like I asked you guys, I mean, what happens if we do go out? I mean, can they keep him? He's off. No. And then if we are Arteta right now and we're in his shoes, what team are you going to put out with the current problems that we have?
I'll tell you something, Lev, right? For me, I don't know about, but my opinion, Arteta needs to win the Europa League to keep his job. That's as simple as that for me. Because he's been here for 2 seasons. He's had enough time. I know it's been coronavirus and so. But he's been here enough not to make certain mistakes he's making now, right? And Arsenal Football Club cannot afford financially, right, to have another season lurking at 10th or 9th or 11th and losing to shit teams, right? If they've got anything about them, these cronkies and the board, if he doesn't deliver Arteta, he needs to go. And I will be an Arteta guy next season if he hasn't won anything. Ooh. And as I said, you know, they might have big plans for transfer window this summer. And on Friday, we'll discuss that with Fabrizio when he's coming with us.
Have we got Fabrizio on? Have we got Fabrizio on? I didn't realise.
Friday at 3 o'clock, man.
You mentioned it only. Oh, right. I didn't realise. No, Fabrizio Friday, everyone.
They might have big plans, but, you know, if you've got a budget that you want to spend, I'd rather get another manager, an experienced manager with a better oomph about him to spend that money with. Because it's going to be the same. Look, for me, if they keep Arteta, it's going to be the same next season.
So, all right. So going up to this crunch game then, knowing the problems we got, who are you guys picking as a team to go out and face Slavia Prague on Thursday?
Well, my team, I don't know what his team would be, but my team would be like, I'm going to give Leno one more go, but I'm playing Ryan on Sunday against Sheffield United, whatever happens, to see if he's ready for it. I would play Bellerin at right back, Chambers and Gabriel, and left back Cedric, Granit Xhaka and Partey in the middle, Odegaard, and then Saka, Martinelli, and aubameyang.
Odegaard's probably not playing, Lee. Odegaard's got an ankle problem. According to Mikel, his press conference today, he's looking dodgy. He's got a bad ankle, so he's probably not going to play.
Right,
so I'm just going to make your job a little bit more difficult, mate.
Right, so then Smith Rowe comes in there then.
Okay. And then front three was who, sorry?
Martinelli, Saka, and aubameyang.
Aubameyang down the middle, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting. Shaheen?
No, I agree with him. I would pick the same.
I'd go Mari over Chambers.
Well, Chambers...
I would not see like that partnership again on Sunday. Just to see him have one game like it on Sunday. I think it's too much of a risk to play it on this game. That's my opinion. But
okay.
But I would definitely, that would be my back four on Sunday would be Chambers at right back, Mari and Gabriel and Cedric. That would be it. And if it works and they put in a good performance and keep out Sheffield United, that would be the one I'd play in the second leg.
Okay.
Well, look, I think the manager needs to pick his strongest possible team because that's the only thing that is left.
So do you think Chambers over Mari is a better option? And do you think Aubameyang instead of Lacazette is a better option?
He obviously thinks highly of him that he's been playing him, right? He's gonna play him, I think. But if we were out of Europe, right? If say we got knocked out in earlier rounds, right? There will be nothing to play for this season. Just finish as high as possible, and that's it. They've got opportunity, these group of players, their manager, and the board, all of them, right? They've got opportunity to win a European Cup and play in the Champions League next season. And I hope they don't fuck it up.
Well, that's hoping, mate. You just don't know who's going to turn up, how they're going to play. Every time they suck you in and make you believe there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you think we're heading somewhere, they come up with a off the cuff performance that's not even close. So I do think we'll turn up this tomorrow. I do think we should win this game. I do worry a little bit because we could be a little bit shell shocked from that how bad that performance is, but then again at the same time you would expect Arteta is all over them now and saying that's not acceptable. I am pretty much on the same page as you guys with regards to the team selection. I personally would prefer Mari over Chambers because I haven't seen Chambers in that centre back position. He's not really been in it, and Mari has impressed me most of the time that I've seen him. I think he'd make a good combination with Gabriel. So that's what I would do. And I'd probably go Lacazette over Aubameyang because I just feel that he would link up with the lads more with Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka in particular. They like to play 1-2s off him and he likes to back into the defenders and give him that option. And I just think that they would be better with that rather than Aubameyang who was constantly looking to run in behind. If he doesn't get it, he doesn't offer anything else. That's probably my only areas that I change with you guys. So let's hope we get a decent performance out of the guys. I mean, result. Anyone want to give me a prediction? Lee, I'll push you on it.
2-0.
2-0 from Lee. Straight in there. No messing around. Shaheen, are you going to give me something positive?
3-1 Arsenal.
3-1. So we're going to concede. Is that conceding with Chambers at the back or with Mari at the back? I just want to know. Huh? It doesn't matter who you stick in there. We're conceding, yeah?
No, I'll always put that possibility there because every single player, the central defender at Arsenal, have capability of a shit pass or a mistake or giving a ball. You know, they all got that.
Switching off. They've got the ability to just switch off at any time.
So I always give the other team the one because it's possible that You know, they're not going to score because they're good. They're probably going to score because we allowed them.
There's a lot of predictions in here as well. 4-1, 4-0.
Listen, God help them if they lose.
Well, God help Arteta if they lose. One thing I don't want to see is us being all over them, not putting the tie to bed and going back to that second leg and maybe in that worrying position that, you know, if they just get a goal here or there, you know, we'll be in trouble. I don't want that. I want us to put it to bed in the first leg. And also, there's a lot of people with opinions on Arteta in or out. Keep them coming. I'd like to see what people are thinking. Do you still trust the process? What even is the process at the moment? We thought there was a process, but it seems to have gone backwards a little bit. So, I don't know. I mean, keep them coming, guys. But then we've obviously weekend after that. So let's just hope that we win. Let's just say we've beaten Slavia Prague. We've got Sheffield United. They're already relegated. You would expect us to win that game. Does it really make a difference now, Lee? Is there anything really to play for, mate?
I don't. Whether we win it or not, don't make the difference. You know what I mean? You don't want to be risking too many players because you've got like the second leg on the Thursday. So I think that it'd be a very much a mix and match side on Sunday. And as you say, like, you know, what will be will be. And if we get a result, we get a result. If we don't, we don't. It don't matter. It's all about the two Thursdays now. That's all that matters.
All the eggs are in one basket then.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. And Shaheen, is it even worth discussing Sheffield United? You in the same thought process with Lee? Doesn't really matter.
No, man. Well, what's going to happen if we go out and win all the remaining Premier League games for the rest of the season, and we're going to probably finish 6th, 7th, still
6th. Well, I'll be surprised if we finish 6th at the moment.
Something like that, you know. So there's nothing to get excited about there. Whereas in Europa League, there's a lot to gain, and you know, I hope they understand these players. But I'm sure they want to play in the Champions League themselves as well. Hopefully,
I'll tell you what I find frustrating though, guys. Right? Okay, it was Arteta's relatively a novice, etc., etc. But the league, as Lee rightfully said, the league has been pretty poor this season. I mean, some could say the poorer teams are better, or we could just say that everyone else is just poor and there's only 2 decent teams in the league right now. I don't know. Whichever way you want to look at it, this was an opportunity for us to really get. How many opportunities have we had to get into that mix this season? We've had loads of opportunities. Every time someone gives us an opportunity, we don't take it. And it's just frustrating for me. So it's just been a frustrating season in general. But, you know, I'd like to say thank to a few people. Mikel is in here. Natty. There's some new names in here, by the way. Beast Titan, who's not new. He's always here. Nice to see you. Clock Orange.
If you're new, please subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, please do.
You obviously watching us. Subscribe. We've got a lot of things coming up. This Friday we've got Fabrizio Romano at 3:00. So subscribe, you get notifications, and you can join us.
Man is selling. I didn't hear about it till I'm on halfway through the show, and now I haven't stopped hearing about it. But as he rightfully says, Fabrizio's here Friday. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Put your notifications on. Smash those likes, guys. Come on, we're looking to grow this channel now. We're gonna bring up some new shows. We're constantly looking for new names, and I think we've pretty much covered everything. We've been going for just over an hour. Is there anything anyone else wants to cover before we go? Lee?
No. I've got to shoot now anyway. So
Lee's got to shoot. If you see a flash, a yellow flash come past your house tonight, that's Lee. Right, on to his next podcast. Yeah, so don't get in his way. Let him flash to the next podcast. So, Lee, again, great having you on. Pleasure,
no
mate.
problems, boys. No worries. Enjoyed that. That was good. Good hour. That was.
And thank you very much. And Shaheen, anything you want to add before we go?
No, that's it. Just don't forget Friday at 3:00.
What's happening Friday at 3:00, Shaheen? Is there something going on Friday at 3:00? Okay, so Friday 3:00. Be here. Let's any questions you want us to ask. Hit us up on Twitter on Arsenal Lounge. It's on Twitter. Give us your questions. Let us know. Springer's coming last minute to stir up some trouble. Arteta out. How you doing, Springer? So Friday, 3:00. Fabrizio's going to be here. We might go on to Friday fan cam as well after. It'll be quite interesting to sort of digest what's happened. So please give it a watch on Friday. Subscribe, like, and all that jazz. That's it for us. I'm Lavanja. That's Lee Judges. That's Shaheen. We're the Arsenal. Oh, look at those. It looks like the Blue Man Group now, didn't you? Yeah. Anyway, We're the Arsenal Lounge. Peace out. See you Friday.